Hi, I'm meteorologist John Dissauer. Thanks for checking out my blog, New at Dissauer, and wanted to give you an update as to what's going on for our winter event or storm for Wednesday and Thursday. I'm shooting this about 1 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, and with the latest data. First, let's look at the satellite and radar composite. You'll see we've got some clouds overspreading southeast Missouri. Maybe even a few snow flurries possible, but I'm not expecting any accumulating snow out of this. But I want you to turn your attention back out to the northwest, up towards Seattle and Portland. We've got low pressure and a wave of energy beginning to move onshore out of the Pacific Ocean, and it's going to be this piece of energy that comes down and brings us our chance for this winter mix we're going to see, most likely a little sleet and freezing rain. Here's the European model. This has been doing a very, very good job with this with this system, I think, and there's still a lot of question as to the timing of when this is going to move in. The National Weather Service models from the GFS and the NAM model brings in the rain or the moisture a little earlier in the day Wednesday, maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The Europeans holding it off a little bit later. But I wanted to show you this because first we've got, this is the area of low pressure down here to the south. We're going to have a warm front lifting north across the area, helping bring up warmer air aloft, up about 2,000 feet and above. Temperatures will be above freezing as this begins to lift through. We'll take you through to 10 o'clock and notice how it begins to develop the precipitation right over us. The placement, I think, is still in question, although the European has held the precip in the same location for the last several days over portions of southeast Missouri, western Kentucky, northwest Tennessee, and generally south of Cape Girardeau. But that's very subject to change, I think, and we're going to get a better sense once the models finally get a chance to take some soundings and incorporate the storm as it's over land, and so I'm sure we'll see some subtle changes to this forecast or to the models over the next 24 hours. It keeps the low down to our southwest still, but warmer air trying to mix in. And the big question also will be how much cold air can we get down to the surface. As I mentioned, at 2,000 feet to around 3,000 feet, we'll be seeing temperatures above freezing to around 36, 37 degrees. And so as that moisture falls through that little column of warmer air, it's going to melt and come back down to the surface as rain. Temperatures at the surface will be sitting in or just below freezing, probably around 30 to 32 degrees. So once it gets down to the surface, that's when it's going to start to refreeze. Computer models typically have a very hard time handling how quickly that colder air at the surface moves out. So that's one of the big question marks, and you usually have to almost bias the models a little bit to being a little colder than what they're actually advertising at the surface. Then eventually through the day Thursday, that moisture begins to move on out of here. Let me show you Precision Cast. This is our RPM model starting at 7 o'clock Wednesday morning, keeping the band of clouds across us still, but turn your attention to the south and you'll start to see moisture streaming up from the south. Here we are at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's trying to bring some of this mix in. Initially this could fall as a little sleet, and then eventually changing over to the freezing rain. And that's what the Precision Cast model is indicating in the pinks there. By 10 o'clock you start to see the moisture coming further north, and notice you can see rain developing across portions of Arkansas and Tennessee. And this also slightly goes back to where these models have a hard time resolving this cold air at the surface, and this could still be some freezing rain. Remember the storm a couple of years ago, I remember down towards Murray, Kentucky, the models had it as rain for them, and it was raining. However, temperatures were below freezing, and that's why we've got a lot of ice down there. Through Thursday morning at 3 a.m. is trying to bring the rain up, and I think we will see some change over to just steady rain. But, again, critical thing will be what will the temperatures be like at 7 o'clock, or I should say at 3 o'clock Thursday morning. Will this just be rain that's falling, or will this be rain that freezes on contact at the surface? We'll then take you through Thursday afternoon, and then it begins to move on out of here. Now the big question is, how bad is this going to be? First, we have winter weather advisories for northeast Arkansas, and all big for Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi. Also, winter storm watches are in effect for central Kentucky, southern Indiana, and north central Tennessee. Here in the KFUS viewing area, it's northeast Arkansas, the Missouri Boot Heel, northwest Tennessee under that winter weather advisory, and just a few of our eastern counties in western Kentucky under that winter storm watch. Now let's talk about amounts. This is the RPM Precision Cast model and what it's showing for ice accumulation. We'll let it run throughout Wednesday night to Thursday morning, and it is only indicating 2/100ths to 5/100ths of an inch of ice. I think this is underdoing how much we could see. Not by a lot, but it is underdoing it. Overall, I'm thinking we could see anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to maybe 2/10 to as much as a 1/4 of an inch of ice. So we're not talking nearly as much as what we saw 2 years ago. Want to get that out there and let people or make you realize this is not a catastrophic ice storm. We're going to see ice, but it's not catastrophic. It's going to be an inconvenience and make things slick Thursday morning, but that's about it. Now let's take a look at how much liquid we have to work with, because again, some of these models are having a hard time handling the cold air at the surface. This is our RPM PrecisionCast model with its rain, or I should say the precipitation forecast. And notice it's generally showing anywhere from 2/100ths to as much as almost 3/10ths down towards northwest Tennessee. So you can kind of get an idea where it's coming up with this ice accumulation number from that. Remember, it was also mixing in rain for western Kentucky and northwestern Tennessee. Now let's take a look at the dam model as far as how much rain is showing as we go through Wednesday into Thursday morning. And you'll see it's generating, and this is the wettest of all the models. It is indicating anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to as much as a 1/2 inch of liquid to deal with. If that came down as all ice or freezing rain, that would be anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch of ice. Again, I think that's probably a little on the heavy side. And here's the GFS model, which I think is kind of underplaying it a little bit, but not, it's close. Notice it's putting down anywhere from 5/100ths to 3/10ths down towards Murray. So right now, to me, the biggest concern as far as with icing, and again, not as bad as what it was 2 years ago, would generally be somewhere along here, in this kind of a corridor, in the KFUS viewing area, would be the heaviest amount of ice that could fall. Nothing horribly bad, like I said, maybe 1/4 of an inch, but that is about it. That is the latest from here in the Weather Center. I'll of course be updating the blog as we go through later tonight, and I'll have some of the graphics that I put up on there. Just at this computer, I don't have access to that software. But I wanted to give you updates as to what's going on and what the latest is. No advisories out yet. I would imagine the Weather Service probably later tonight or tomorrow morning will be putting out the advisories. Remember, there's a couple of the questions we still have in place. The timing of when this begins to move in. Does it happen earlier Wednesday or does it happen later Wednesday? Remember, a couple of the models are showing it coming in around 3 or 4 o'clock, so driving home could be interesting tomorrow. The model I prefer is bringing it in later Wednesday night. So you'd already be home, and by Thursday morning it would be kind of a mess if you're trying to go to work or to school. Also, how much precip are we going to have with this to work with, and critically, what is the temperatures at the surface going to be? And that we may not know until Wednesday morning or even Wednesday afternoon as we get closer to the event itself. So that's the latest from here. If you've got any questions or let me know what kind of things you want to see out of the system, leave them on the comment section on my blog. You'll see the little link there for the comments. Just leave your comments there and let me hear back from you guys. Thanks again for checking out my blog, New at Dessauer, and I hope you have a great afternoon.